Coach, it's like we never left. Spring ball, day one, what was your assessment of the day?
Great energy. That was a challenge for the guys. Come out of winter conditioning, have great energy and carry that over, and they did an awesome job. I think it's easy to do that day one. Now we got to see the other 14 practices if they can continue that effort.
How are things different for you these days?
There's a lot going on. No, honestly, I know I got to do job one, help Roman with the offensive line. I think the difference is for me communicating with more than just Kalen. Communicating with all the assistant coaches on position groups, making sure that all the position groups are effectively moving and doing all the things right. So I think that's the biggest thing is communication on the field, which is fun. I love it.
What's your stamp on offense? What are we going to see from your type of offense coming up this season, Coach?
We need to be able to run the ball a little bit. That's something that, kind of honestly was fun to do the last game of the season where pass game wasn't quite hitting on all cylinders at the Vegas Bowl, and we were able to pull it out and run the football a little bit. So that's always been the stamp, though. That won't change as far as being effective running the football. I think any good offense is going to have some balance, and that won't change with us. I think maybe see some utilization of the tight ends as well. That'll be something that we do. I think we got some really, really good tight ends coming back, but every skill group has some guys competing, and they want to come out here and show that, hey, we should have 4 wide receivers on the field, Coach, and that's exciting for me.
You can only have 1 quarterback on the field, Coach.
Right.
What are your thoughts about the quarterback position and day one with the quarterbacks?
Wide open. I think it's wide open. I think that that's something that's going to continue to be obviously a competition daily, and not just the effectiveness of what routes they're throwing, how they're throwing them, but also being the voice and the leader of this offense. That's something that's going to have to grow each day, and will continue to grow. So they did a good job day one. No front runner or anything at this point. I have to watch the film first.
Okay.
And Coach, what do you think of Jorge? And he has the most experience out of all of them so far with the Fresno State offense.
Right. Jorge has very good sense of playmaking ability. Very instinctive player, has been all the way back to his junior college tape where you put the ball in his hand and typically he's going to make something happen. So obviously a guy like that, you always have to manage the risk reward, and Jorge knows that program goal number 1 is take care of the football. And so that has to be a maturity level thing for Jorge. But I think he's a competitor. I think he's smart and excited to see what he's going to do this spring.
I know you're always going to be an O-line coach. How nice is it that you still get to work with those guys?
Oh, it's fantastic. I think that, my message from day one has been make sure that we're working with how we handle ourselves from meeting room to field, off the field to infect the team. And so having that kind of workmanlike mentality throughout the offense is something, I'm excited about preaching a little bit.
And we thought you were going to be a package deal with Kalen. Now you guys are apart from each other. What did you learn from him? What are you going to be taking from his style?
Right. Kalen, has always been a guy. This is our second time kind of doing this effectively where he's left and I've stayed somewhere. And for me, Kalen is a guy that's done a great job over his career of just a lot like Coach Tedford, honestly, just grinding, and grinding on the details, refining everything daily, and just really never taking for granted how much we're going to have to be able to out-execute an opponent. And, from that standpoint, from a detail standpoint, that's something that's really, really big for us.
Was this a goal to be an OC, in your career?
Yes. Yes, it's always been that. It will continue to be that. So, yeah, absolutely.
What's been just the biggest transition?
I think, the transition part has been time management, making sure that you have the whole, obviously the spectrum down. I have to know what the Z's doing on the backside of not just a run play for cutoff, but how he's running his quick routes and his deep. Obviously, all that's been a big deal. But having a line coach like Roman here, and that's something that I've talked to Roman about a lot already, is that he needs a coach like I'm not even here, in the sense that there'll be times that my attention will go somewhere else, that he's just got to keep trudging forward like I'm not even staying there, and he's already done a phenomenal job, so excited about that.
And you guys are missing Josh Hokett right now. He's at the NCAA, or he's going to the NCAA.
Right.
How exciting is that, and how does that affect the offense in spring ball?
I think it's a whole team thing. You see guys retweeting what Josh has done on the on the mat, and for us, that's no big deal for us. As far as Josh goes, we see that competitor out here all the time. So seeing him have some individual success has been something that I think the whole team has been able to rally behind, myself included. As an old wrestler myself, so seeing
Do you like that he's able to do both?
Yeah, I think that, for Josh, I don't think that every guy gets an opportunity to do that. For him, obviously, it's a challenge, though. He misses out on 15 opportunities to make himself better. It's a different type of body preparation as far as strength and conditioning, nutrition, things like that. So I think that's hard for him, but I'm excited for him. He only gets one shot at this.
One more.
Yep.
Coach, optimism after a 12-win season. I can tell there's a lot of spring in guys' steps today. What's the feeling like? What's the vibe entering spring ball and then, obviously the regular season?
Very positive, and they should have that. I think, what the guys can rely on is a culture that they've built, and we'll continue to enforce that daily, obviously, with Coach Tedford. But they should be optimistic. There's something behind what we do here that doesn't happen overnight, that there's been some building blocks that have taken a lot of sweat and tears to create. And so that's something, regardless of who's executing those things, they can build on.